The first thing I felt was pain, then cold. Then the scratch of a hospital gown against skin I couldn't move. Everything was white. Lights, sheets, the noise in my ears. My mouth was dry as sandpaper, and I could barely lift my head. Dana, you're awake? A voice said, too calm for how much my body was screaming. My eyes finally focused on the man in scrubs. Older, gray hair, stiff posture. Probably had bad news in his back pocket. You had a pretty serious accident. A ceiling collapsed. You were trapped under debris for nearly 20 minutes. Your left leg took the brunt. I blinked. Tried to speak, but my throat burned. He handed me a cup of ice water and waited while I drank half of it in one go. We saved your leg, he said gently. But it was close. You'll need months of rehab. Rods, screws, months on crutches. You were lucky. I almost laughed. Lucky? I'd been doing a site inspection, a half-built commercial kitchen for a new resort on the coast, and I remembered everything. The beams in the kitchen ceiling, I'd flagged them, twice. I sent the reports in. I literally stood in front of that damn vent hood and said, "This is going to fail." And it did, right on top of me. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. The smell of dust and burnt insulation came rushing back, the metal shrieking, my knee folding sideways as I hit the concrete, then black. I didn't know how long I'd been out. A day? 2? I reached for my phone with my right hand. It buzzed before I even unlocked it. One new message. It was from Trent Mallory, my boss, business partner, and friend. Or so I thought. We'd built the culinary operations arm of Westward together from the ground up over the last 8 years. I'd covered for his mistakes, traveled every hellhole of a construction site, and trusted him. His message was 7 words. You're done here. Clean out your locker. That was it. No, how are you? No, we'll talk soon. Just a gut punch in Arial font. I stared at it for a second, then typed back, "See you soon." That was all I wrote, but my hand was shaking, not from pain, from rage. I dropped the phone on the tray and shut my eyes. I could hear my heart pounding in my ears. Trent had just kicked me out while I was still in a hospital bed. 8 years, gone, thrown away like nothing. I didn't know what came next. But I knew one thing. I was going to get up. I was going to walk again. And when I did, I was coming for every last one of them. Then the meds pulled me back under. I came to again sometime the next morning. The room still stank like antiseptic and plastic tubing. My leg throbbed beneath the cast. Every breath felt heavier, but my head, clearer. I didn't start in construction. I started in kitchens. My dad was a chef, the real kind. Grease burns, broken knuckles, cursing in 2 languages. He ran a diner in Tacoma until the night it burned down. Faulty gas lines, outdated ventilation, a code violation some lazy inspector overlooked. He died trying to pull a dishwasher out from the back hallway. I was 19. So no, I didn't just fall into the job I had, I earned it. I became a stickler for build specs, double-checking every system, especially the exhaust and fire suppression. When Westward started expanding into luxury resorts, I got bumped up fast. They liked how I didn't miss anything, until I did. 3 months before the ceiling caved in, I noticed something weird. I was reviewing install photos from a resort kitchen in Bend. The exhaust hood didn't match spec. Looked right, but the rivet pattern was off. Tiny detail, but it bugged me. I drove 6 hours to see it in person. Tapped the metal, ran my magnet test. Nothing stuck. Real food-grade stainless steel isn't supposed to do that. Then I checked the contractor invoice. It listed certified grade 430 stainless, but what was installed? Looked more like cheap Chinese alloy you'd find on a knockoff fryer cart. I brought it up with Trent first. We were at the site office, standing over half-covered blueprints and coffee that tasted like paper. I told him the hood was counterfeit. "You're being paranoid," he said. "It's venting air, isn't it?" "That's not the point," I shot back. "It could spark, overheat, fail under load." He shrugged. "If it was really dangerous, someone else would have flagged it too." That was his answer. I sent a formal report anyway. Double seat engineering and legal. Crickets. A week later, I got pulled off that site completely. So I started digging. I drove to 2 other kitchens scheduled to open that quarter. One in Lake Tahoe, another in Arizona. Same story. Vent systems that didn't pass the basic safety tests. Fake cert labels, bolts mismatched. Even the welds looked sloppy. One of those builds? a culinary school focused on kids with severe allergies. I stood in that half-built space and imagined a grease fire rolling through unfiltered ductwork. No one would get out. That's when I stopped waiting for approval. I started copying things, invoices, material tags, photographed serial numbers, pulled core samples where I could and bagged them in plastic. Contractors looked the other way. Some even hinted they knew something was off. But nobody wanted to say it out loud. Each report I filed vanished from the system within 48 hours. That's not an exaggeration. I checked the sent folders, the ticket logs, gone. Like I never submitted a thing. Trent swore it was IT issues or delays from legal, but I saw the smirk he tried to hide. He thought I'd drop it. 2 weeks before the ceiling came down, I was assigned to re-inspect one of the sites I'd flagged, the one with the worst vent support beams. It didn't make sense. I was supposed to be off that project completely. I called Trent about it. Just double-check it and move on, he said. You'll feel better seeing it for yourself. Something about the way he said it chilled me. Like he already knew what I'd find, or what would happen. I almost said no. I should have said no, but I went. Brought a camera, took more samples, wrote everything up that night, sent it to every internal contact I had. That report was gone by morning, and then, 1 week later, I stood beneath those same beams. I looked up, and the ceiling fell. The first time they made me stand, I nearly passed out. The pain hit like a hammer to the gut. My whole left side buckled, and I grabbed the parallel bars so hard my palms burned. The therapist, Kelsey, didn't flinch. Good, she said, like I hadn't just screamed. Now again. Each session was a war. I gritted my teeth through it, cursing Trent under my breath, using his smug face like fuel, every stretch, every forced step. It wasn't just about walking. It was about clawing my way back to level ground. On day 4, they wheeled me back to my room, and I finally did what I'd been putting off. I pulled up the lawyer's contact, one I'd met years ago at a food safety conference in Reno. His name was Cole Parsons. He used to work with OSHA before jumping to private practice. Strict, blunt, no time for pleasantries. I left a message. He called me back in 10 minutes. You don't sound surprised, I said, after I laid it all out. The vents, the reports, the collapse. I've seen it before, he said, but usually the whistleblower doesn't end up under a pile of debris. He asked for everything: emails, photos, samples, the timeline. I already had it all on a drive in my bag. Then he said something that made my heart speed up. Firing you while you were hospitalized? That's retaliation, straight up. But more than that, if your reports are accurate, we're talking criminal negligence, fraud, maybe worse. So what now? I asked. You want to fight this? He said. We take it wide. Regulators, press no whispers, no half measures. I looked down at the rods holding my leg together. Do it, I said. Send it all. That night, he submitted my full report to federal safety regulators and 3 investigative outlets. If Westward wanted a war, they had one now. While he handled that side, I kept dragging myself through recovery. Every hour in PT felt like chewing glass, but I wanted the pain, needed it, because pain meant I wasn't done yet. The hospital was quiet at night, machines humming, nurses whispering, the air too still. I'd lie awake, leg iced and strapped up, picturing the school kitchen, the one meant for kids, and what could have happened if I hadn't caught it in time. And still, they tossed me like garbage. I wasn't just angry, I was locked in, focused. This wasn't just about Trent anymore. He was a symptom. I wanted the whole damn structure torn open. I wanted boardrooms squirming. I wanted every single person who ignored my reports to read them again. In court, I told Cole to expect pushback, lies, smear attempts. Didn't matter. I had proof. I had fire in my gut and steel in my leg. Kelsey said something the next day when I managed to stand for 6 seconds straight without wobbling. You're getting stronger. It's slow, but it's forward. I looked her dead in the eye. Good, because I'm not just getting back on my feet. I'm going after every last one of them. I meant what I said, because 48 hours later, they swarmed the site. OSHA, State Fire Marshal, 2 guys in suits that didn't look like they belonged on a build site unless they were shutting it down, which they did. Hard. The culinary school kitchen, the one meant for kids, was taped off. Contractors were pulled mid-install. Every truck turned around. I watched the whole thing unfold through texts blowing up my phone. What the hell's happening? You see this? Whole site's locked. Is this you? Please tell me this is you. I didn't answer most of them. Not yet. Let it burn through the rumor mill first. By mid-afternoon, my room phone rang. Not my cell. The actual landline on the hospital table. It was Veronica, Westward's HR director. Her voice was shaky, clipped. Dana, hey, okay, look, we need to talk. This whole thing's out of control. I didn't say anything. Everyone's panicking, legal's involved. Regulators are asking for records I've never even seen. What exactly are you doing? Cleaning up, I said. What you should have done 3 months ago. She lowered her voice like someone might be listening. We can fix this, internally. But you've got to stop this media thing. There's still a way to handle it quietly. I leaned back, stared at the ceiling. You're missing the point. I tried quiet. You people erased my reports. Veronica let out a long breath. Okay, what do you want? That was better. 3 things, I said. 1, full public acknowledgement that the counterfeit materials were used and flagged. 2, total reinspection of every kitchen built in the last 2 years. Third party, not your team. She didn't argue, just silence. 3, I said. Trent. I want him named, not protected, not shuffled off to some consulting gig. He goes down for this. Dana, she started, but I cut her off. Non-negotiable. She didn't answer right away. I could almost hear her swallow. Then, let me talk to legal. You do that. I hung up. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just closed my eyes and let the silence fill the room. That night during PT, Kelsey met me with a raised eyebrow. You ready to stop pretending you're not a control freak? Let's just walk, I muttered. We stood at the edge of the parallel bars. I locked my arms in, gritted my teeth, and shifted my weight onto the left side. Pain flared, sharp and electric, up through the rods in my leg. But I didn't stop. One step, another. By the third, my knee nearly gave. Kelsey caught my elbow, steadying me. You okay? No, I said. But I'm walking. She smiled. You're rebuilding. I didn't smile back, just nodded. So is everything else. By morning, the headlines were everywhere. Routine audit pauses, culinary school opening. Westward kitchens undergo standard compliance review. Routine audit, my ass. I watched the coverage from my hospital bed, remote in hand, pain meds untouched. Every talking head parroted the same corporate line. No mention of counterfeit steel, no mention of safety reports that vanished. Nothing about the girl in the hospital who'd nearly lost her leg. They wanted this quiet, controlled, sterile. Then the news shifted. Another kitchen, this one inside a private children's hospital in Flagstaff, failed an emergency inspection. Same fake hoods, same bogus certifications. But now, the press couldn't ignore it. I stared at the screen, heat crawling up my chest. They'd installed this crap in a hospital kitchen. I was still trying to wrap my head around it when my phone rang. Midnight. No caller ID. I answered anyway. You vindictive monster, Trent's voice growled on the other end. Do you even understand what you've done? My pulse didn't jump. I didn't flinch. I just listened. You've torched 8 years of work. You've wrecked careers. Hundreds of people will lose their jobs because of you. Because of me? I said calmly. Or because you cut corners and thought no one would notice? You think you're a hero now? He spat. You're pathetic. I let a beat pass. You sent me to reinspect a site I flagged as unsafe. You knew what I'd find. You knew it could collapse. That's not true. I think you wanted me out of the way. Silence. Then he hung up. I set the phone down slowly. My hands weren't shaking. Not this time. He wasn't calling to rage. He was calling because he was scared. And he should be. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. By sunrise, the door to my room swung open without a knock. Veronica stood there, tight blazer, tired eyes, folder clutched in one hand like a shield. She glanced around, then shut the door behind her. I'm here unofficially, she said. I didn't answer, just waited. She stepped closer. The company wants this resolved. Quietly, no more calls to the media, no more regulators. We've prepared a financial package. She slid the folder onto the bed tray. I'm not interested, I said. You haven't even looked. I don't need to. My demands haven't changed. She exhaled sharply. Dana, this could drag on for years. Even if you win, it'll cost you. Time, energy, money. We're offering you a clean exit. Is Trent in that folder? I asked. Is he named? She didn't answer. Then we're done here. Veronica straightened her shoulders. Think about it. I already have. She left without another word. I pushed the folder to the edge of the tray with my knuckle and let it fall to the floor. An hour after Veronica left, I texted Cole. They're trying to buy me out. Hard pass. His reply came fast. Then, buckle up. This is getting bigger. By the next afternoon, it was more than just the school and the hospital. 2 high-end resort kitchens in Colorado had the same bogus exhaust systems. Then a cruise line terminal in Miami, all westward builds, all with materials that should have never passed inspection. The regulators were moving fast now, faster than I expected. Cole called as I was icing my leg. It goes back years, he said. Not just a bad batch or one shady contractor. A coordinated substitution scheme. Ghost vendors, forged invoices, you name it. They buried this for a long time. And now? I asked. Now we hand them a shovel. He wanted to talk settlement strategy. I stopped him. I don't want a gag order. If they offer one, I walk. There was a pause on his end. You're sure about that? Absolutely. Then you better get ready. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at you. They already did, I said. It landed on my leg. That shut him up. I spent the rest of the day going through my files again. The copies Cole didn't have. I wanted to be ready when they started calling me a liar. And they would. Around 6 that evening, there was a soft knock at the door. Not a nurse, not a therapist. Maria. She stepped in holding a little ceramic pot with fresh basil in it. Looked like she pulled it straight from her windowsill. Technically, I'm not allowed to be here, she said. HR threatened to suspend anyone who contacts you. That told me everything I needed to know. Maria had been a prep kitchen manager under me for almost 5 years. No drama, no gossip. Just steady, loyal, and sharp as hell. I reached for the pot. It smelled like home. She sat at the edge of the chair, lowered her voice. I don't have proof. But you should know. She hesitated. The night before your accident, I saw Trent at the site, late. Way past hours. He was loading boxes into his truck. What kind of boxes? I asked. File boxes, labeled, stacked in the back of his SUV. He looked spooked. My blood ran cold. He knew. He knew the ceiling was going to give and tried to clean house before it did. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because I was in that kitchen too. I stood under those same beams. We didn't hug, didn't cry, just sat there for a second while the weight of it settled. Then she stood up fast. I should go before someone sees me. Thank you, Maria, really. She gave me a tight smile and slipped out the door. I stared at the basil for a while, thought about my dad's herb garden. He'd taught me how to tell the difference between real cinnamon basil and the cheap seed packets that just looked like it. Smell it, taste it, know your materials, he used to say. That night, I told Kelsey I wanted to try walking on my own. No bars? She asked. No bars, no harness, just me. We cleared the space in my room. I took a breath, gripped the edge of the nightstand, and shifted my weight. First step, pain lit up my thigh. I almost sat down right there. Second step, my arms trembled, my legs screamed, but I was up. Third step, I collapsed into the chair. Sweat rolled down my back. My pulse was hammering. It's not enough, I muttered to myself. But it was something. 2 mornings later, I woke up to my name in the news. Again. This time, not as a whistleblower. As a scapegoat, an anonymous internal source claimed I'd approved the counterfeit systems myself, that I'd signed off on the materials, that I'd flagged nothing, that I was just another bitter ex-employee trying to make noise. I laughed, actually laughed, sitting in a hospital gown with my legs strapped up. Cole didn't laugh, but he wasn't surprised either. This is the play, he said. Blame the inspector. She's not there to defend herself, so pin it on her. They really think this'll stick? If you didn't document everything, it might have. I had. Every single thing. 2 days earlier, Cole had hired a digital forensics guy. Former military, zero personality, walked around like a Roomba with a laptop. But he pulled gold out of Westward's cloud backups, auto-saved versions of my deleted reports, time-stamped emails, internal routing slips, proof. I'd flagged the vents, I'd escalated concerns. I'd sent everything in writing. They buried it, and now we had the shovel to dig it up. The day of the hearing, I skipped the morning meds. I wanted to feel everything. My leg ached like hell, but I needed my head sharp. Cole wheeled me in, suit pressed, jaw tight. I wore black. No makeup, nothing fancy. Just me and a folder full of hell. The regulatory board sat behind a long table, all gray suits and clipped voices. No smiles, no sympathy. On a giant screen behind them, Trent appeared. Remote video, some bland hotel background behind him. He looked smaller than I remembered, eyes a little sunken. Collar open. Westward's attorney took the floor first. There was confusion in the supply chain, she said smoothly. A vendor misrepresented the steel, unintended errors, internal miscommunication. She spoke like it was all very unfortunate, like someone forgot to tick a box on a spreadsheet. Then she mentioned me. Ms. Hawley reviewed and approved the ventilation installs. I didn't react, just waited. Then it was my turn. They gave me 5 minutes. I looked at the board, not at the camera. My name is Dana Hawley, I said. I was Westward's lead kitchen compliance supervisor for 8 years. I flagged these issues. In writing, repeatedly. I slid the first report across the table. Deleted from the system within 48 hours. Second report. Deleted. Third. Assigned back to me for reinspection. After being told to stay off the site, I paused. That site collapsed. On me, Cole handed them the backup logs. Full IT recovery files showing deletion timestamps, source folders, user credentials. The room got still. The board chair leaned forward. You're saying these were deliberately removed? I looked straight at the screen. I'm saying you're watching the man who removed them. Trent didn't move, didn't blink. They called it supply confusion, I said. I call it negligence. And when that wasn't enough, they tried to erase me, literally. For a second, no one spoke. Then one of the board members muttered, Jesus. The air shifted. It was subtle. But I'd seen it before. The second people realized the story's bigger than they were told. The moment doubt turns into fear. They didn't dismiss the hearing. They extended it. By the end of the week, it all cracked open. My testimony hit like a crowbar. Before I even made it back to my room, Cole was already getting calls. Federal investigators, state regulators. The whole mess had officially turned criminal. That night, Westward's main office in Portland got raided. Midnight. Staff phones were seized, company drives taken. And somewhere, behind a locked internal door, the shredders ran non-stop. They tried to bury what they could, but it was too late. The next morning, Cole showed me a grainy video. One of Westward's junior accountants had leaked it. Dark office, paper flying into machines. The timestamp was 2 a.m. Then the call came in. A quiet tip from someone inside. The CFO was back in her office early, destroying financial records, originals, audit trails, wire transfer logs. Cole notified the authorities. That second raid hit harder than the first. They froze the accounts. Every project Westward was tied to went cold. Subcontractors walked off jobs mid-pour. Payroll stopped. By the time the board tried to log back into their internal systems, the passwords were gone. Trent's video feed cut out during a follow-up deposition. Claimed it was technical issues. He never rejoined. 3 days later, they issued a border alert. Trent Mallory vanished. No flights, no exit logs, no credit card activity, just gone. The hospital was oddly quiet that afternoon. My phone didn't ring, no press at the doors, just a heavy silence until it wasn't. Brooke showed up, the other HR director, not Veronica. Brooke. She wasn't wearing her usual tailored blazer this time, just jeans and a windbreaker. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't ask to come in, just stepped inside and closed the door behind her. Don't worry, I said. I'm not accepting settlement offers today. She held up a small silver thumb drive. This isn't a bribe. What is it? Proof, she said. Kickbacks to Trent, large ones, over 3 years. I raised an eyebrow. That's not exactly shocking. Her hand was still out. Also names, she added. 3 board members, same payments, funneled through dummy consulting firms. I took the drive, but I didn't plug it in. Brooke sat down in the chair near the window, rubbed her face. I joined this company to build something real. Food, safety, hospitality. Not this. Her voice cracked, but I looked away when I knew better. I didn't say anything. You're going to burn it all down, she said. Maybe, I replied. Maybe not. She didn't ask me to promise anything. Maybe she knew better than to expect it. After she left, I stared at the thumb drive in my hand for a long time. Then I slid it into the drawer beside my bed. Didn't destroy it. Didn't open it either. Not yet. I was halfway through a therapy session when Cole called. I let it ring twice. Answered on the third. They got him, he said. Border Patrol in Washington. He was trying to cross into Canada with a fake passport. Trent, in cuffs. I didn't say anything for a few seconds, just gripped the walker in front of me a little tighter. You good? Cole asked. Yeah, I said. Better than him. By nightfall, the footage was everywhere. Grainy cell phone video of Trent being led into a federal van. No tie, no smug smirk, just a hollow, sweating man in zip-tie restraints. I watched it twice, then shut off the TV. The next morning, Westward's culinary division was placed under court supervision. Their executive accounts were frozen. Every kitchen they'd built in the past 5 years had to be re-inspected, publicly, with third-party oversight. They didn't fight it. They couldn't. A week later, Cole walked into my hospital room with a thick folder and a tired smile. Settlement's final, he said. Clean. No gag order, no strings. And the board approved something else. I raised a brow. A fund, he said. Whistleblower protection, legal support, resource assistance. For people like you. I opened the folder. Saw my name across the top of the final agreement, underneath it, in bold letters. Funded by Westward Culinary Group. They didn't get to bury me. Instead, I became the reason someone else might speak up before it's too late. But still, it wasn't closure. My leg would never be what it was. I'd accepted that. The rods were staying, the limp was permanent. My balance was off. I'd never run again. No more climbing ladders, no long hikes, no fast turns in tight kitchens. And my job? Gone. No restaurant group wanted a compliance whistleblower with a bad knee and a worse reputation for lighting fires. I'd built my whole damn career on safety, and now I was radioactive. I looked out the window. Rehab center parking lot. Cars coming and going. My world used to be travel, installations, site visits. Now it was handrails and paint charts. But I still had the drive. The one Brooke gave me. The one with names. Board members who'd stayed quiet while the fake systems went in and the cash flowed up. They were still out there. Still sitting in meetings. Still sipping coffee like they didn't almost kill people. I hadn't touched the drive. Not yet. That limp I carried now, it reminded me of them. Every step, uneven, sharp, was a reminder of what they cost me and what they didn't lose. Yet, for now, I focused on rebuilding. I learned to balance again, walked farther each day, pushed harder. I set little goals, 10 feet, then 20, then a lap around the PT room without help. But I never forgot. I could still smell the scorched insulation from that ceiling collapse, still hear the crunch of bone when I hit the floor. They called it negligence. I called it betrayal. And I wasn't finished. Not even close. The day I got home, I turned on the TV, and there he was. Trent, in an orange jumpsuit, shuffling into federal court with his wrists chained to his belt. His lawyer walked 2 steps ahead, avoiding every camera. No smirk this time. Just a pale, bitter man who finally ran out of places to hide. I watched it in silence. The volume didn't matter. My living room still smelled like paint. Rehab had taken so long I barely recognized the place. Someone, maybe Cole, had replaced my broken floor lamp and fixed the wobbly railing by the stairs. The rest was mine to rebuild. Later that afternoon, my physical therapist came by for a home session. We worked through the usual rotations, then she looked at me and said it straight. You'll walk, but you'll always limp. I nodded. Good. It'll remind me where the line is. She tilted her head. What line? The one I don't cross, the one they did. She didn't ask what I meant. After she left, I made tea, sat by the window, and checked my phone. One new text. The board thinks they're safe. Are they? No name, no number saved. But I knew who sent it. I didn't respond. The thumb drive was still in the safe upstairs, data backed up twice. Once in the cloud, once on a hard copy Cole didn't know about. I hadn't cracked it open yet. Didn't need to. Not yet. Let them breathe. Let them think it's over. Some people fall. Hard. Publicly. Others, they rebuild. They wait. They move slower. But they move smart. That limp? It wasn't weakness. It was warning. And I still had work to do.